and he did not win that first round. So anything can happen in Randomizer.
Yeah, and that's going to be an exciting matchup to follow also later on. And with that, Mclagging and Thalane are off. Don't worry, Uncle's got this covered. As they hop out of bed in just a few minutes, we see that Uncle does not have the sword, and the first item picked up is 100 rupees to get them going.
Yeah, it doesn't have it covered. It would be nice if we could just sleep in one of these days and let Uncle get past the sewer for once.
Yeah, you know, like, I wish that maybe we could just have a randomizer seed where you wake up and Zelda's rescued, everything's over.
Well, that's what Triforce mode is. You just pick up the Triforce pieces, and once you've collected the requisite number of pieces, you go to the Triforce room. I've seen Plandos where they have one Triforce in Link's house.
Yeah, awesome. And so Hammer is our first item. We also got a map check looking like it was an all crystal light world, so lots of speed potential there with all those short dungeons being available to pick up crystals early on.
One of the big limitations with Hammer is the limited hitbox, but Mclagging just gets both of those green guards in a single swipe. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it shows as it pulls him ahead just a little bit. Now, of course, runners are going to be wanting to farm up for those bombs. Like green guards tend to have a good prize pool package, and potential for them to provide a bomb drop is pretty high, but not entirely without the chance that you won't find one. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think Mclagging might be still using CompuServe here because we don't have the best bitrate on his side. Hopefully this is just temporary.
Well, he is Mclagging, so that makes sense, doesn't it?
That would be appropriate. Lagging on the bandwidth, but definitely not on his execution.
Yeah, he's pulled out to a little bit of an early lead, a jump start, if you will, on the escape sequence. With a Hammer starts, you could expect these two players to get that 6 minute, maybe sub 6 minute time. They'll be able to farm up, if they farm up a bomb early on, rather, they'll be able to bypass a lot of the other enemies along the way.
Well, with magic and ammo-based weapons, you have to decide: am I going to spread out my limited firepower or concentrate it? But hammer and a sword, you can just kill everything until you get those 1 to 4 bombs.
Yeah, the sword upgrade there is really nice. I've seen the last couple of days, I must say, an inordinate number of Master Swordless runs where runners didn't pick up the Master Sword till very near the end. And Go Mode Master Sword is really just awkward feeling. It's hard to commentate. You never really know what's going on. Mclagging there picks up his first bomb, so that gets him set up.
Yeah, well, we know why the uncle had that early death, because the sword was in the escape sequence, as was the blue mail. Poor uncle.
Hey, he had no hope, no chance.
Yeah, it takes a lot of skill. Seriously, it really does take skill to do well with the hammer. It's tempered sword damage, but it's difficult to execute with. The old man didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. So 3 minutes, 20 seconds on the way out with Zelda is really, really quick. Mclagging now has got the opportunity to just boogie on down to the dark area. Doesn't have to farm any more bombs. We'll see if the lane stops to smash a few rats and ropes along the way just to make sure he can collect that bomb. But there's a small advantage here, even though they seem to be neck and neck.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he didn't. Maybe he gave up on the green guard prize pool so far, but ropes and bats, every enemy they're in different randomized prize pools. And with the sword, it's really easy. Bats are hard to kill with the hammer, but trivial with the sword.
Now, a blue mail start really does provide a lot of security if they get early Dark World access. It is surprising how damaging and punishing a lot of those Dark World enemies can be when you're wearing like green mail and have something like 5 or 6 hearts. So in the event that they do get early Dark World access, this is going to be a very pleasant experience for the runners.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. It's not an across-the-board 50% damage reduction. Different enemies have different damage tables, but in general, it will definitely reduce the damage you take on average by about half.
Yeah, and here we see thalane stopping to make sure he's killing as many of these little ropes and rats as he can whenever is convenient. The key there in that chest indicates that he's going to have to continue the hunt for bombs.
Yeah, that had to be a key at that point. Unfortunately, no more chests remaining between here and the back of escape. And unless he gets a lucky drop at the last minute, we're only going to see what's here on Mclagging's side. It's not a big deal as long as the gloves are somewhere easy to get. If the gloves are back here, it can be quite a troll.
Yeah, absolutely. But it can be a very impactful thing, even if not, just as a runner might want to double check whether or not there was something good there in those 3 chests. And we see that the map was located there, so only 2 really. And if thalane picks up 4 bombs on the way out after it was too late to go back, that just makes you feel yucky.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is a one-way push block. So even finding the bombs there, you could go back down into that room, but you can't push the blocks the other direction. And you get a bomb capacity upgrade just to rub in how many bombs you don't have.
Yeah, now that 4 drop at the end of the escape sequence, he has no way of knowing this, but really is a nice little advantage for thalane's side because he's going to have the opportunity to go the standard route through Kakariko Village. Mclagging, on the other hand, may get stuck without bombs and have to go down to the shop and come back up from the south, which is a time sink.
That's a very good point. They have enough money at this point that buying the bombs isn't an issue. It's just the time. You can gamble going into the well or blind side and hoping you find bombs, but that's a little bit of a risk. We still have the bush crab to check potentially. Nothing at the vanilla mushroom spot, and also only 50 rupees in the hideout.
So the seed hasn't given them too much goodies here early on. The sword is nice, of course, and armor also pleasant, but you already had a ranged weapon, and both of these runners are more than capable of handling uh, green mail starts to the game.
So tier 1 pull prize is small magic pots, and that bird dropped the bomb both times thalane killed it. Only picked it up once, but he's up to 5 now. There's a bomb for Mclagging, so if he finds some more in Blind's house, then he'll be good to go.
Yeah, and that's probably going to key him into going and making the call to check blind. So yeah, just to clarify, that 6 crystal is hanging out in Eastern Palace, so that's one of the red crystals for everyone.
Yeah, it's really interesting how much the first 10 minutes are affected by bombs, and then the next 80 minutes have absolutely no importance at all.
Yeah, now some additional bombs here in Blind's Hut that we see Ether Medallion as well, but those 3 bombs are going to allow Mclagging to finish off Kakariko normally. He's going to feel good about that. A couple of big full heart containers along the way here to give them a little boost to their health situation.
Yeah, the blue mail helps as well, but the getting up to 6 hearts this early in the game will probably get at least 1 more heart container or a few heart pieces to the rest of Kakariko. I wouldn't be surprised if we had 8 or 9 coming out of South Shore at this rate.
So now we're into our well checks. Both of these runners just seconds away from one another. Pick up 10 arrows as the first item. A blue rupee coming here in the back of the well.
Another blue rupee, just a bottle there. The bottle's nice. We're going to be able to do our sick kid quest without having to backtrack.
Yeah, and that 7th heart, as you predicted, already on its way. Wow, look at that. We pick up the boots out of the bottle vendor, so $100 for a pair of Nikes, not too bad a deal if you ask me.
It's cheaper than a pair of Nikes in the real world cost. So I'll call that a definite bargain, Crozone. Boots is going to let us check the library immediately, and maybe they'll even head up and do bonk rocks and check the graveyard, not the graveyard, the lumberjack ledge a little bit earlier than they otherwise might.
Yeah, the thalane might actually have a little bit more impetus to do that once he picks up the power glove because of those checks in the sanctuary as well. But we'll see what happens with the two runners here as Mclagging stops by to pick up a few more bombs. Thalane, on the other hand, healthy amount of bombs, probably won't be doing that.
Yeah, both runners opted not to check the lumberjack ledge and without having the boots, which has really become the meta play. But having the boots now, we'll probably see that with the Bonk Rocks. The flute in the library, those boots became required immediately.
Yeah, and that's a really nice find, but it is going to mean that both runners probably going to turn around, head back up to Kakariko Village, and activate that flute as soon as they have an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, I definitely would have checked race game first though.
Yeah, that's
missing out on that.
Yeah, because then the world is your oyster. You could have fluted away to any location.
Yeah, if you check race game first, then you can come back up here and then just continue north to do Bonk Rocks and the ledge. Mclagging is giving us that check and just a heart container, so not going to pick it up, but yeah, that's good knowledge.
Plenty of full hearts, yeah. See, so now Thalane is going to have to come all the way back down, look at that before using his flute. So I don't know that it hurt him time-wise, but it certainly was a little less efficient than it could have been.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's just at this point we're just talking about a few seconds here and there and just routing decisions.
Yeah, and now we are able to go ahead and do the traditional South Shore, south of Lake Hillier area, Mini Moldorm, and the dam check. Now, sometimes boots early on gives runners the impetus to head over to Agina's cave. Now, Mclagging's actually going to go show us the lumberjack cave or shed right away.
Yeah, Bonk Rocks in the ledge. This will tell us whether we need to do angle 1 in order to pick up this item. The lamp on the dam, though, that's also very nice. Moon Pearl and Bonk Rocks. Wow, flute and the pearl were boost locked.
Yeah, and that lantern, as I was just about to say, kind of has an ill omen. Finding it at this point just puts them one item away from an Agar required seed, but then the Moon Pearl kind of counteracting that. We'll have to see here what's going on in Lumberjack Cave. That's a shovel.
One of the worst items you could have. Really no way to know if that's going to be required or not.
Yeah, and the mirror picked up here in Mini Moldorm Cave is a fantastic start as well to this game. So Moon Pearl kind of pulls us away from the potential Agaseed. Lantern pulled us towards it.
You can't overestimate the importance of that mirror. Having it early in the game, it means you're going to be able to route all these one-off locations, the graveyard ledge, floating island, K45 in when you go to those areas, rather than have to backtrack for them. Having the lamp and the flute, Thalane can do Death Mountain here, and he can get to East Death Mountain as well as full clear Tower of Hera and pick up a very early crystal.
Yeah, this seed is providing a lot of avenues for pathing, but still being pretty tight on how exactly things are going to turn out. So now Mclagging finally getting a chance to head into South Shore to see that lantern might be a little concerning for him.
Well, like you said, Crowzone, we're a sword upgrade or a cape away from having Aga Tower access, but we're also only a mitt away from gloves from having regular Dark World access. So there's a lot of items up here. If Mclagging comes up here and finds both glove upgrades in Light Dark Mountain or Hera, then he'll immediately be able to go into Dark Death Mountain. Thalane without that Moon Pearl will have to make another trip up here.
Yeah, Thalane getting a little dead rock there, but knows if you just move off the screen, the dead rock will disappear.
That's an interesting thing. In the prior tournaments, I would always see runners wait for the dead rock to move, and now people run out of the way. I can't imagine that's something that was newly discovered.
It's very rare that you have an opportunity to kind of do it without a screen transition. A screen transition would be slower. It has to be like a smooth scroll off the screen, and there are the places where it happens most frequently uh, usually are gated by that transition. So like around Turtle Rock, and around checking the floating island. Places like that don't really have a nice, easy path sometimes. It just feels wrong sometimes. I think that might be what ultimately happens.
That's possible. Maybe it's happened and I just missed it. Mclagging is doing Ice Rod Cave here. This is one additional location. Meanwhile, Thalane finds the first item in Hera. This is nice for Mclagging. With the Moon Pearl and the boots, he'll be able to do a water walk run and at least check the waterfall ferry or hobo if he wants to. And looks like he's setting up that.
He looked like he might have just grabbed it. Certainly was an attempt at it. I'm never. It's hard for me to tell who that.
Yeah, he set it up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have enough money to go to Zora. If it was me, I would just do the hobo and save and quit from there.
He is going to take a look here at the island. It's just a piece of heart.
And Thalane using hammer strats on Moldorm, just a fighter sword. Hammer as a much easier fight. Get to skip that fast 6th phase.
Yeah, but it's 16 minutes, 15 seconds. Thalane grabs the first crystal of the seed. Meanwhile, Mclagging grabs a plastic shield from the hobo under the bridge. Other things that Mclagging kind of did while Thalane was busy working through the tower there was he did get a Nagina Cave check as well. So a lot of those little one-off locations have been taken care of on Mclagging's side. Thalane does have to go into the basement part of Tower of Hera now. Picked up a key early on, still an item to be found.
Yeah, this is not a have to because he got the big key early, so this is just for the item. Could potentially gamble this being garbage and save a minute here, but this early in the game with the risk of Aga looming, probably doesn't want to take that gamble.
Yeah, until he gets down to that Bonk Rock check, and when you get early boots, it's not necessarily something you're thinking of. I do believe that because he's looking for the glove, he's probably going to wait until he gets that to go do a couple in that sanctuary check or back of escape again.
Yeah, that actually might start weighing heavily on his mind. That the glove could be back there, the Moon Pearl could be back there. We might see him go through the front of escape in order to clear that out. For all we know, the glove is our first glove is in the Dark World. Thalane, I would be surprised if he goes to Aga before heading to the front of Hyrule Castle. And with the mirror, he's going to be able to check that and then mirror right back to the front to do Aga. So it's very nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's as nice as you could possibly have it be. So there's the Dead Rock situation. He can scroll them off the screen, but instead he's going to go down. I think he saw what was up on the floating island, so he's going to go down to Spiral Cave. Mclagging, meanwhile, takes the time to go in and pick up those 300 rupees out of the bottom of Spectacle Rock, and that does put him over the 500 number necessary for Zora. Probably the reason Thalane did not do that is because he hasn't found that Moon Pearl, so he doesn't have access to the Waterfall of Wishing yet either, and it's a little bit lower priority in that case.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 fewer items. Neither player can pick up the ledge item right now without buffering a double fake flipper, but just seeing it in most cases it'll be garbage and you'll be able to cross that off your list.
Yeah, now Mclagging has given us that Dark World map check, and it is a doozy if you ask me. We've got Ice Palace as a pendant, Swamp Palace as a pendant, and Thieves Town as a green pendant. Very exciting set of dungeons that does mean. Now, Green Pendant Thieves Town is one of those bane of a lot of runners. Some people just are like, well, I go no matter what. And others are like, oh, I hate that, and I won't do it. But we'll have to see what happens for these two players.
So, unfortunately, we saw that Ice and Swamp are both pendants, just as Thalane gets the flippers and the cape.
Yeah, and a Master Sword, so...
Yeah.
So now he might be thinking, ugh.
Yeah, it's here's all the items you need to go do Aga and clear the two pendant dungeons that you normally would want to go mode.
Yeah, now he is heading over to Saharshala's house first. There's really no reason that you wouldn't do this. He'll get a hop and check on the island. Oh, he
No,
has
not a
slippers,
hop.
rather. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So he'll do Hobo, and he might actually go up to the Waterfall of Wishing now as well. He has the 500 rupees necessary for Zora. And of course, everybody's going to want to hunt down those Dark World items before making that Agate play. So that also means that he might flute over to the desert area at some point, check Agina's cave. Mclagging has already done that. Thalane, well, he may look ahead, really has a lot of overworld checks difference to separate the two players. So we'll have to wait until they kind of equalize on that regard before we can say if either of them has gained a little bit of an advantage here or not.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that one. With all four Zora domain items now in Logic, you're going to want to cross those off before committing to the Aga play. Hopefully you're still saying, I don't want to go into Pendant Swamp and Ice, but those are decisions for later in the game. Right now, Zora's domain is something you can cross off your list.
So Mclagging here in his Trolldorm fight, 2 hits down, the third one is all he needs. 300 rupees on the meanwhile, plus 20 more on Thalane's side from the Waterfall of Wishing, so plenty of money. Not really what he's looking for, though. He's really hoping to find either the Moon Pearl or the gloves. Now, we know the Moon Pearl is sitting in Bonk Rocks, but the gloves still potentially available to be found here.
Well, if he remembers Bonk Rocks, he'll be able to pick that up. He still has to, check the ledge item. He'll probably do those before doing Aga. Either way, though, if he does Aga, which it looks like it's probably going to be required at this point, the Moon Pearl is going to lock him out of, most of Dark World, so he'll find it.
Yeah, it is kind of really awkward when you're looking for 2 items, one of them being the Moon Pearl here, and you feel like it's an Agaseed, because there aren't very many items accessible without the Moon Pearl in the Dark World. In fact, it's just the ledge, Pyramid Ledge, that you can get to. And so when he does, well, he's going to pick up his Moon Pearl now from Bonk Rock, so that will not be a problem for him.
Yeah, if they had, the mitts, the Moon Pearl could be on Checkerboard Cave as another location, but that and the Pyramid, essentially the only places it can be in Logic. So with the Pearl in hand, he might be a little bit more tempted now to check those one-off locations, Agina's Cave, Ice Rod Cave, hoping for the gloves, as well as go back into Escape.
Oh, and that shovel as well, I had almost forgotten about it, does mean that there's a second item available from an Aghanim play, because you're going to be able to come back here and get that shovel, do that fetch quest. So adds another dimension to that check.
Yeah, at this point, it seems likely that they're going to have to pick that up. It's just a matter of when. They probably will route it in with Graveyard Ledge or King's Tomb, or a Bumper Cave check, since they also have the Cape. There's a lot of reasons for them to go up there, when they do the Skull Woods area.
Yep. And what we are seeing here now, as Thalane makes these last couple of checks that he has necessary to him, he still needs to go to Agina's Cave in order to equalize with Mclagging's overworld checks. Mclagging, on the other hand, has to go and do there's still, of course, Eastern Palace front. Mclagging finishing up the Paradox Cave.
Yeah, so Sasha's not here. Thalane might dip into Eastern. First versus 3 items in Escape versus 2 to 3 in here. Escape would definitely be a quicker check.
Well, he does have the Lantern, which all of the chests in Eastern are accessible by logic. Can't kill the Armos Knights yet because he has no bow, can't get to them. But it is definitely, as as we've both been kind of saying, you always want to check everything possible before committing to that Castle Tower play.
Yeah, 2 to 3 items are in Logic. 3 if Armos Knights isn't holding the last item. Otherwise you could get all 3. Mclagging has done more overworld checks at this point, has also done the back of escape. So I think for him, we have Eastern left as the most likely place to go.
He has Zora as well. The
Oh,
Zora's
yes.
domain hasn't been done because he just picked up those flippers, but
Yeah, that'll be a quick check.
yeah, but this does let us kind of see overall that Thalane has a slight advantage here, probably about a few dungeon, like about half this dungeon worth of time advantage on Mclagging. Although he still has a Gina's Cave, but it'll depend, of course, on if he finds anything here that changes the calculus about what will be happening next. Finding the gloves, of course, will really change things up. But
Yeah.
if this blanks out, then it will not be.
Yeah, Mclagging has Zora, Thalane has a Gina, and the back of escape. It's if they both exhaust all of their pre-Aga options, they'll probably be entering into Aga at about the same time. And we really only have Eastern left as locations that could have gloves that we as viewers haven't seen. There's another item we're crossing off the list.
So we've got, that's the first one I believe we've seen, Compass and Big Key.
Yeah, just the big key, the big chest here. That's a bottle. That's our second item. So one chest left that we can access. If it's the bow, we can finish the dungeon, but that won't help us with progression.
No, that would be nice though, just because having access to the bow early on at this point would be a nice thing for the runners. Certainly is not what they want though.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't mind having the bow and just being able to clear the dungeon while I was in here, knowing that my opponent would also have to go to Aga. It's not that big of a time sink. You might actually feel that your Eastern gamble paid off at that point.
Yeah, the only kind of, not the only, but one of the positives experiences that you can take away from here, map means that Eastern Palace is done for. One of the positives that you could take away from here is that the expectation is your opponent is going through the exact same thing as you. And so there is no reason to believe not to. Now, interestingly here, Mclagging is jumping the gun. And he's going to go up to Castle Tower without stopping at the Eastern Palace. So we do know now that that's going to be an advantage for him as he pulls ahead here, knowing full well that the bow was not located inside Eastern Palace, nor was there anything progression-wise. So he'll just do Eastern Palace in the standard route later on once he finds the bow, I hope, and save time there.
Yeah, this is not a big stretch at this point. The seed has given you multiple ways to get in here and no ways to skip it. Thalane, I would expect to still check the back here. It's a quick check with the boots for 3 items, and he is going back there with the mirror. He's going to immediately be able to get back to the front and then head up to Aga. So if this was the gloves and he missed it, he'd be killing himself for sinking 5 minutes into Aga.
Yeah, but so Mclagging is taking a small risk here. We do know that this is but of course he has no way of knowing that. However, we know it'll pay off, so that does give him the turnaround that we kind of thought could have happened. And he's making excellent progress up here through Castle Tower. These narrow bridges can be quite treacherous, especially when you don't have a good ranged weapon to poke these guards out of your way.
Coming in here with the Master Sword, at least, instead of using the cape to get in here, gives you the normal sword that you would have during this sequence. You have the boots, you have the normal sword, you have plenty of health, and you even have the hammer if you want to break it out. So you're in a good position. And Thalane, remembering he has the mirror and can save himself a save and quit, is right behind Mclagging. With the knowledge that Eastern has no more progression beyond Armos, that's one location that Mclagging might potentially spend some time on at some point. But probably they'll both be heading to... I don't know where they'll be heading.
Well, they do have hammers, so they're going to be able to go from the path. They can go down to Hype Cave. They can go all over the place once they hit the Dark World. They have access up to Catfish as well. If that is their decision, I would be surprised if they would make that run. But they do have the boots, so that does help. And we are about to hit our AGA 1 fight. So, ladies and gentlemen in chat, why don't you go ahead and throw up how many blue balls are we going to see in this particular matchup? Sometimes Agina is very friendly. Or sorry, not Agina. Aghanim is very friendly. Other times, he throws all the blue balls.
Well, Agina is always friendly. He just stands back there and lets you rob him.
You know, he takes all those bombs to the face he ends up getting.
Exactly.
Slashes.
Exactly.
He's a pacifist.
So, coming out of here, I mean, like I said, we could go to Catfish, but that's just one item, and they've done Zora, so there's really nothing to loop that in with. That would be a very low probability play. You really would be gambling, I would say. Palace of Darkness could be bow locked, so we might only get one item out of there. I think that the most conservative route would be do Hype Cave and then head over to Digging Game. If that fails you, you have the mirror now, so a save and quit will put you right back on the pyramid, and then you can do pod immediately afterwards. Actually, you could even go up to Catfish and save and quit and get back to the pyramid quickly that way.
Actually, yeah, that's an interesting kind of quirk of the way that this seed has played out. That save and quit back to pyramid is like a little warp. So, Mclagging takes care of Aghanim, just one blue ball today, and looks like that was Ice Rod hanging out here on the pyramid. Fire Rod.
Ice. Or I don't know.
It's hard.
So, I can't see it.
The bit rates look like Fire Rod.
Well, Oddwalls thinks it's the Fire Rods.
Yeah, I think I got one clear frame there, and it looked pretty fiery to me.
It just looked like a stick. That's all I could tell. Oh, there we go, Fire Rod. We can see the menu.
Yeah, and Hype Cave. There's an opportunity here for Hype Cave to actually be hype. We haven't really had a crazy area, so let's hold our breaths. As the first item is a big 20. There's another 20 rupees, 5 arrow capacity upgrade, caster curse incoming as we get another piece of heart and 20 more.
Yeah, so having the mirror here is going to let Mclagging check key 45 on his way over to Digging Game. Without the mitts, though, we're not able to proceed into the Village of Outcasts. And without the hook shot, we're not able to get across there the northern way either. So that Fire Rod, we can't get into Ice without the mitts. We can't get into Skull Woods without the hook shot or a glove. So Fire Rod doesn't have too much immediate value.
Yes, and let's not forget that the shovel is hanging out in Lumberjack Cave now. So we do have that fetch quest kind of niggling at the back of the minds of both of these players as they progress in this point.
Yeah, they could get the shovel. They would, they most likely will want to route that in with bumper ledge, but they can't even get the bumper ledge at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the save and quit, in Catfish, or save and quit and pod, rather than a gamble on the shovel paying off.
Mm-hmm. That's true. They don't even have a bottle filled with a potion in order to do a bottle glitch to sequence break a little bit of pod if it is bow locked. That vary.
Well, Mclagging is giving us our last check on this route, while Thalane is giving us a pod check. So Southern Dark World didn't pay off. Fire Rod, was on the pyramid. So we're back to pyramid. And where do we go on attempt number 2?
Yeah, he does mirror immediately, so he's going to go. I think this tells me he's going for that shovel.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going for that shovel. He has no other way to get in the Dark World, so it would be shovel or Eastern, and that wouldn't make a lot of sense. We get to find out if we're bow locked really, really fast on the lane side. If we're bow locked, then we know that Catfish has to be progression or the shovel.
Oh, and we are not bow locked, so Palace of Darkness is in play still. And that's going to feel real good on Thalane's side. He knows he made a good call here. There's plenty of items available in Palace here.
Yes, thank you to chat for reminding us that Catfish isn't actually accessible without the glove. I do make that mistake quite a bit. Thank you, Arier.
There's the hammer peg. Oh, right, but they have to go from the other.
Yeah, they can get past the peg. They just can't.
It's that big rock, yes.
It's a big rock, yeah. It's every time I make that mistake. That's why I use a map tracker.
All right, so now we're going to see if Mclagging was right on his gamble on that shovel. It was visible early on, and it is a 5 bomb capacity upgrade. So the Palace of Darkness play seems to be the right call. We'll see if he goes and does that. It looks like he will be, as he's starting from Link's house. So just a dash up to the north to get back into the castle teleporter.
Yeah, that was definitely a time loss. Having to leave here, go get the shovel, do the shovel check, and then get back into the Dark World. That definitely puts Thalane in a nice position. He's where he needs to be for progression. We don't know what it is yet. There's got to be something in here.
Yeah, and what makes this exciting is that's like the second or third, like, straight up switch of people being in an advantaged position between these two runners. So this is as close a race as I've seen in quite some time, really. Neither of them has gained a lot of advantage, just about half a dungeon. And there Thalane finds the Power Glove. So he'll be playing with power for the rest of the game and has Dark World access across the continent.
Yeah, glove was the most likely item to find in here. Bow would have been neat. Maybe we could have had to go back and get the glove off of Armos Knights. That would have been really linear routing for the runners. They probably would have actually liked that. But the glove is going to open up northwest Dark World.
Yeah, and that changes so many things. Thalane now going to go ahead and make use of the glove here to check Hype Cave and do that south route that we've already seen Mclagging do. Now he did just bail out of Palace of Darkness. There were several items he could have continued to look for. It's interesting to see him choose to abandon ship on that dungeon so early on. The glove, of course, did open up a lot of potential items in the world for Thalane, but you were already there. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be a completable dungeon unless you found the bow along the way, and that might be a big ask from a seed, but hey, it could happen. Randomizer being random.
Yeah, there were the two right side basement chests, the middle turtle one, and then the harmless hellway chests. They were right there. So maybe Mclagging will check those and show us what they are.
Yeah, so just as the door opens on one player and they get a little opportunity to grab a few advantageous positions, Mclagging here has an opportunity to show us that there might have been more value here in Palace of Darkness and reclaim that lead.
Yeah, Thalane will be able to mirror after finishing the digging game and continue up and then re-enter at the next portal to do Thieves Town and Skull Woods if he wants to. Everything needs to clear both of those dungeons. We have a green pendant and a crystal. Could save and quit and go directly to Catfish. That's also an option.
Yeah, now Mclagging here didn't fall for the same trap that Thalane had. He saw that he had no keys and didn't get himself locked in that dark maze, which I believe is what happened to Thalane, why he had to mirror out and just decided to go elsewhere. So this means that he'll be able to continue on checking all of these dungeon chests.
Okay, that makes sense. He would have had to mirror and then come all the way back here.
Yeah, now this particular harmless hallway, should have known that was definitely going to just be a key. But I think he wants to do the hammer up and save a key.
Well, if you don't clear out the whole front, it's sometimes a little bit hard to keep track of the key logic.
Well, this will give him a key for the back half. I don't know that that's going to be worth it. But it's going to feel good for him to pick up that mitt. Or the glove, sorry.
Yeah, and we know that this particular gamble did not end up costing thalane anything other than knowing that he's going to have to come back here later, and it could be, you know, in the back of his mind.
Well, he does have to go through that up to the harmless hallway. He's going to have to go ahead and do all that at a later point. Mclagging's going to be able to go straight to the backside and towards Helmut's King when he comes back, so he might gain a little bit of his time back at that point. Meanwhile, thalane now in the Village of Outcasts. Chest game didn't really give him anything.
Yeah, neither runner wanting to gamble on a one-off like a catfish at this point. Even though with that save and quit, it is pretty quick to get over there. I would not go there myself, so I agree with what they're doing. Skull Woods is a nice crystal. I like that we can route in Bumper Cave, Graveyard Ledge, and King's Tomb with that as well. And the bow and C-shaped house.
Wow.
Nice item.
Yeah, so that does mean it was a required double dip, and we already knew that, into Palace of Darkness. That's going to make Mclagging feel really good about his decision not to go into Eastern Palace, though, now. Since he'll be able to tag team that up with Palace of Darkness. A silver arrows out of the first chest here in Thieves Town. Pendant Thieves Town menu, but a great pickup from that item.
Yeah, the bow and silvers in sequential chests. I'm going to have to read something into that.
Yeah, well, it certainly feels nice to grab them. That's a powerful weapon on a lot of enemies at this point in the game. And, of course, several bosses still to be fought that are very weak to the silver arrows. So,
yeah, we picked up a few arrow capacity upgrades already, so 45 is plenty to last.
yeah, Kana Burna there to follow up. So another kind of useful utility item here in Thieves Town.
So with 2 of our 4 items in Thieves Town, both paying off, I'm not surprised to see thalane bail out here. He can full clear 3 crystals now, Pod, Skullwoods, and Eastern Palace. He can always get back to Thieves Town later on.
Yeah, absolutely. The number of like necessary dungeons to go through now is just too tantalizing to him. So makes absolute perfect sense for him to abandon the remaining items in Thieves Town. If he has to come back, he can do that. But there's a very good chance that he'll be able to skip out on those chests at this point. So
yeah, Mclagging is doing Skullwoods first. No harm in doing this. He'll most likely come out of here and then do the Northern Dark World checks, which will be Bumper Cave, Graveyard Ledge, and King's Tomb. Hopefully after that, he will go back into Village of Outcasts and get that bow, maybe even the silvers. Would be surprised if he doesn't, but it is a risk. And nice kill on the Gibdo there, using the spikes to get the equivalent gold sword damage. We get a little bit of sync from our runners, almost.
yeah, they're catching up to one another. Of course, thalane ahead on those checks from Thieves Town, but Mclagging will follow shortly thereafter. Gets that Mothula, takes care of business as thalane drops down into the pit. Big 20 as a second item out, or another item out of Skull Woods, plus a crystal.
Yeah, that is if that is our second item, then we're done on Skullwoods items.
Nope, so apparently we still got one item to go in here. Mclagging coming in to check this first chest in the second half. Gets bunny beamed for his trouble, but have to wait around a little bit for that to fade off. off before he checks his chest, and it's just a small key. So somewhere back there, if he has been keeping an accurate count of the items, there is an item in Skullwoods.
Yeah, I guess we did not see both of them yet. So I don't think either of them really has any, knowledge or item advantage at the moment. The bow is in a pretty open. I mean, it's essentially a free location.
Now, what might happen here, we have an interesting situation. Mclagging is in a good spot to go check Bumper Cave, Graveyard Ledge, and King's Tomb. So it looks like that's going to be his play. That's going to take him away from a bow location, but you got to feel that he'll be coming back to Village of Outcasts. Ooh, Red Mail hanging out on Bumper Cave. Mclagging says, I don't like that Red Mail. Leave it on the ground.
Yeah, this is the route that I predicted earlier. Well, that's it. So he already did Bonk Rock, so nothing to check there. And, I expect Thalane to make the same checks. Thalane still has to loop in the shuttle as well, so this is the best time to pick that up. But with the boots, it's really fast to get back to Village of Outcasts, and there's, including the green pendant, there's, 8 items there? So, yeah, I can't imagine him not going there. We really don't have that much else open to us. The gloves opened up Dark World portals, but not too many locations.
Yeah, and I would expect that Thalane's going to do this same set of checks and then go ahead and finish off Palace of Darkness, Eastern Palace, just to get them out of the way. Full heart container here in.
Yeah, neither runner opting for the red mail. If you find the red mail in a chest, or it's just really close and easy to pick up, it's absolutely worth it. But not for all the time it takes to go through the Bumper Cave. Mclagging, though, not going back to Village of Outcasts. He's continuing on to Catfish.
Now, he doesn't have the hook shot, so he can't get back. He'll have to go back to the Light World and then flute to Kakariko Village, use that portal. And that's a slow portal to go through when you don't have the Titansmiths yet. But I'm sure he'll be happy to make that play no matter what. This may pay off. If this doesn't, it'll be annoying, but there is a chance that Catfish has something good.
It's not a bad option with having cleared Aga and being able to save and quit to the pyramid at any point in the Dark World. There's really not any difficulty routing Catfish in later on if you want to. But as long as he goes back to Village of Outcasts, he'll be just fine, and he is going back there.
Yeah, that bow is too juicy an item to leave behind, and so he doesn't know that it's there. But it would have been devastating if he tried to start looking elsewhere.
I won't be too surprised, though. I'm sorry, what were you saying, Chris?
I was going to say, I don't think there's really that much that he could do other than this.
Yeah, not much comes to mind. There might be one or two spots, but nothing that I can think of off the top of my head. So I won't be surprised, though, if he gets the bow and then immediately, skips Thieves Town. Might not get the silvers.
Yeah, and while that is, going to play a small role if this becomes a very tight matchup at the Ganon's Tower situation, wouldn't really expect it to play too heavy a factor if they don't end up really close at the end of the scene. He did open up Thieves Town, so potentially he's thinking of it.
Yeah, I think people just open it up there for the tiny little speed boost it gives you.
That's true, but it does remind you that, hey, there's stuff in there.
Yeah. Checking these 3 outside spots, some people will check just 2 and then go into Thieves Town, and I think that's dangerous. Even if it's slightly faster, it's so easy to forget one of these.
So with the bow here, Mclagging now faces a decision. Does he go into that Pendant Thieves Town, or does he immediately go and take care of the crystal dungeons that he has access to? He's heading to Thieves Town.
Okay, so now the question is, do we just grab the first 2 items, or do we do a full clear? Finding the silvers might be enough for him. That and the blue cane. And Thalane's turning in his shovel for Shovel of Disappointment.
Now, what's going to be interesting here to see, does Mclagging stick around for the back half of Thieves Town or not? A couple of 2 seeds that I cast earlier this week. That green pendant boss was important, so we'll see if it comes into play again here.
Well, if he mirrors out, or I think more efficiently does a saving quit coming out of here, then we'll see them both heading to Palace of Darkness at the same time. But he's doing a full clear. Or actually, just one more chest. Let's see. Oh, full clear.
Yep, he's going to go and grab these other 2 items. This play, I think, I don't like orphaning chests that I know have items. Thieves Town is actually a fairly quick dungeon, especially when you have the boots. It's all straight lines all over the place, so we'll see if this pays off. It does also mean that now with that bow, he's going to be in a perfect position to turn in the green pendant, because he has to head to Eastern Palace area and stop by Saharshala's hut. So
yeah, that's my thinking as well. And once you clear Eastern and Pod, you're never going to come back to that area, so there's no better time to turn it in.
And keep in mind as well, Mclagging has already done these checks that Thalane is about to make, so that's a little bit of extra time that Thalane has to take cleaning out Palace of Darkness. Still is technically ahead at this point, but things could change dramatically if something important is here in Thieves Town.
Well, there's our 3rd item, a red rupee. This is a good situation of the balance between checking a location optimally and risking having to inefficiently check it later, or checking it never. This is the most optimal time for Mclagging to get and turn in the green pendant if it has value. If it can be skipped altogether, then this is not optimal, and that's the gamble you make in Randomizer.
Yeah, and we have to talk about good calls, bad calls, right calls, and wrong calls. There's a difference between all 4 of those things. Something can be good, but be the wrong decision to make, right? So, for example, I would say that what Mclagging is doing right now is a good play. It's a solid play. He's anticipating the fact that he's going to be he's going to be in the physical location of Saharshala in the near future. Having a green pendant along the way is just the best thing that could happen if it's important. So it's a good call, but there is the potential for it to be wrong. And that's kind of one of the unique aspects of a randomizer game like this, that kind of stuff can happen.
Exactly. They're both good plays based on different thinking.
Oh, and look at that. Titan's Mint located in the backside of Palace of Darkness, in the bow-locked half. So that's a great find from Thalane there. Of course, Mclagging will be picking that up as well momentarily.
That's a little bit interesting. With the flute, it would have been pretty easy to come in here with a potion and potion glitch your way through that. Early mitts would have saved you a little bit of time. I could have done the blacksmith stuff already if you wanted to while you were in that area, done hammer pegs.
Yeah, and so we see that this puts Mclagging. It was a risk. It's a play that kind of took a little bit of time. He's going to head over to the Palace of Darkness area now in Eastern Palace. It'll be interesting to see if he chooses to go. He'll probably go into Saharshala's hut along the way, and that'll tell us if that was a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah, so if this like I said, if this doesn't have value and Thalane never comes back here, then it was a good call, but the wrong play. If this doesn't have value and Thalane ends up having to come back here anyway in a search for the ice rod, then it was a good call. It didn't work out, but it was the optimal play. Wow.
So it turns out it's a fetch quest. But it could also potentially unlock fake powder as well. So that was, there's an opportunity. There's plenty of opportunities. You got to go back there, Mclagging. You don't have Kiki the.
Go get your monkey.
He doesn't like to come.
Oh, he opened it. He opened it.
He already opened it. Oh my goodness, we're the worst.
We both messed that up.
It's a good thing we're not in the round of 64.
Oh, and there's powder.
Powder on Halmasar King.
Oh, there goes the fake powder.
Right, but hey, which could have something good.
And Mclagging might be thinking, all right, well, I'm gonna, I'll save and quit after here, then I'll go turn in the witch, and then he'll find his powder. Like, oh, never mind.
Nice dash up through the spike hallway there.
Yeah,
Like gonna grab his power gloves just a moment, or his Titans just a moment.
Yeah, so Thalane has already cleared this dungeon and has the big key, so it just needs to go kill Armos Knights, pick up that third item, and the first of our 5-6 crystals. So Thalane coming out of here will have, now that he has the Titan's Mitts, he has everything he needs to also full clear Desert Palace. So that'll be a 5th crystal that'll be very easy to pick up. And just leaving Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. And what do we need for there? We need the Keen of Samaria and the Ice Rod. We don't even need the Hook Shot to clear those dungeons.
Yeah,
we could
potentially medallions as well.
Yeah, but potentially medallions, but we could have a Hook Shot in Ganon's Tower.
And that's a call that you have to take. You have to make that risky call if it ever does come up, and hope that you'll find it. But it certainly does not make for a comfortable situation to be in.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's a thing, but we have to ask. Do either of these runners know how to hover?
Well, we'll find out. I haven't seen either of them hover before, so we'll have to wait and see.
If you can skip the hook shot, that's a big advantage.
Yeah, it comes up 1 out of every, 25, 30 seeds that it would be potentially a benefit. It's very rare.
It's very rare, but the seed is lining up to make it possible.
So Armos doesn't have any goodies on him, just some
Yeah, single rupee, that's even less valuable than the single arrow.
That's a fine crafted arrow. It's worth thousands of rupees.
And it's silver tipped right now. That silver's worth more than a rupee.
Absolutely. Okay, so we did get a check on the medallion. It looked like it was a quack medallion to me to get into Misery Mire.
Alright, so we are going to have to find one more medallion. Knowing Misery Mire, it's probably in Checkerboard Cave.
Yeah, well, it's either that or Mire Shed. We just saw that, so we know it wasn't there. Mclagging now going to go and do his Eastern Palace. If he's a gambling man, probably will skip the vanilla big key location in favor of heading right up to Armos Knights. And that will be a benefit for him because he won't find, he won't need to go pick up that map, I believe it was.
Yeah, you'll know coming out of the dungeon that you got all 3 items. It's a little bit of a time sink to get back there, but it's also a time sink to get there in the first place, so I think that's a fair gamble.
Yeah. And at this mid to early late game part of the seed around the 1 hour mark, those are the kind of gambles that are a lot easier and more attractive to make.
So
big key here on the tower, or on
big key sink.
Oh wow. Okay, it means we're gonna find a small key potentially here in the big key chest, or it could be, well, I guess it could technically be anything, but oh yeah, small key.
So with the mirror, there's no reason not to check the right side first. Landmill can have both of your items. So we need, so Quake is one of the medallions we need. We do have access to 2 more locations in Super Bunny Cave now, up on Death Mountain, as well as Spike Cave, but only 1 chest in Hookshot Cave, and no Cane of Samaria to even get into Turtle Rock, assuming that we have the required medallion. Not a great play hidden up there.
So the Landmolus is going to have an item. Picked up a full heart container though, and so bring life total on the lane side up to 13 hearts. And Blue Mail 13 hearts is a really nice health level to be at this point in the game. Picked up a second bottle along the way now, so they both have, I think, a fairy and an empty bottle in their pockets.
Yeah, Mclagging did go for that map, so it's a few seconds missed opportunity there, but not a big deal, being thorough. I'm not really liking where this C is heading though. We have both players essentially very, very close. Mclagging, checked a few extra spots. Thalane could go back and do Thieves Town later on, and Mclagging would therefore make up that essentially lost time at this point. But this is looking like it's going to come down to a Quake or an Ice Rod hunt, which means that it can really come down to just whoever lucks into the right spot.
Yeah, well, we do have some accessible dungeon. We have Ice Palace we could go to. It's pendant, of course, but there are some chests in Swamp that are reachable without the hookshot. Overworld checks are starting to get a little thin on Mclagging's side at this point, but
you got the 4 items in the Smith's chain would be pretty fast with the mirror. That might be a nice quick place to go.
Wow, that was a really nice.
It comes, yeah, but when it comes down to just whoever picks the right path of all of these disparate options, it feels a little bit more like luck than intuitive routing and execution.
Now, if I were Mclagging, I'd probably want to go check that mushroom out, just because I just picked it up. If it turns out if it pays off, I'm gonna feel really, really good about my my situation. But of course, he does have Desert Palace to take care of first, so it makes absolute perfect sense to go there and do that right now. Thalane, taking your advice, looks like he's gonna go and rescue Jeremiah and start the south circuit.
Yeah, these are 4 very, very fast items, and these are the quickest items per minute that is available to Thalane at the moment. I do agree with you. Turning that mushroom in with the flute, it's such a quick check. If that had Quake or the cane, I mean, it could have something nice.
Yeah, there's plenty of items. Like literally any of the remaining required items could be there. Nothing is locked from it.
So we will get to see all 4 items here on Thalane side.
Hammerpeg doesn't pay off yet. Well, there's Quake, so can get into Misery Mire. Still can't do it completely without that Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, Thalane gonna grab the chest before doing the magic bat. So I don't know. It's not a. I don't think it's a bad idea to dip Mire looking for the cane.
Well, I would imagine that if you have a lot of other overworld locations, and Bottle out of the Mad Matter, so Fairy Bottle as well, I think I would personally prefer to check some of these overworld locations more thoroughly. Super Bunny Cave, maybe even the first check in Hookshot Cave, before I did that if I were in Thalane's shoes. But
Well, there's three items that are up there. The Super Bunny and Spike Cave. The advantage of going in the mire is usually you're gonna have to search through quite a few locations to get the big key anyway. So if you find the items while you're looking for the big key, then it's not that much of a time loss, and it's time you're spending in a crystal.
yeah, I agree, but it's also one of those, there's that conventional wisdom of go when you can complete it. I know it's when you're on that single item hunt, it's just so there's really no, again, as we say, right and wrong, yes, good or bad call type situation. If you make the decision and it works, then it was a great call.
Yeah, I'm just listing options and probabilities.
Yep.
It's impossible to say which one's best until we've seen what's there.
Yeah, so Thalane now make his way through Spike Cave here. Gonna check this spot. Also has the 2 in Super Bunny Cave, and access to the first dungeon, the first item in Hookshot. So 20 rupees here is not gonna help. He can replenish some hearts. I don't know if he's gonna be able to get enough to make it through. I think he will. Yeah, he's got the Cane of Burna, and he's got dashes. Oh, he gets nice speed off the staircase there. So super easy.
Yeah, that's a nice move there, doing the spin speed. This saves him having to save and quit back to the pyramid and then flute back up here or do a double save and quit. Well, meanwhile, Mclagging kills Lambo and picks up his 5th crystal.
Yeah, that's not something I have seen all that often. Most of the time you dead end Spike Cave, you just save and quit out. But because there's still a lot of checks to be made up here in Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain specifically, Thalane keeps sticking around. He's also going to be able to open up Turtle Rock and get that Turtle Rock information, so that's helpful.
This is definitely heads-up routing for Thalane. Without the hook shot, you have to climb the left side of the mountain anyway, so he saves a little bit of time there by avoiding the save and quit.
And also, here we go on the witch.
So,
10 rupees.
Also, by doing the Spike Cave first, he can replenish his magic here in Super Bunny Cave, so there's no risk of being low magic.
Yeah, I think he got a little upset there as he tried to go and open up Turtle Rock just for efficiency's sake, but was too short on magic, so he couldn't cast the spell.
No, but we do know that we have the medallion for both of our remaining dungeons, so the Ice Rod and the Cane are all we are looking for at this point. And the hook shot, of course.
Yeah, and we're starting to get to the point where Thalane's going to start thinking to himself, uh-oh, did I make a mistake leaving Thieves Town too early? If these 2 chests don't pay off, and they might, Boomerang, of course, so one last chest. Oh, hook shot, so that does change things. Don't save it quick.
Yeah,
you got hook
remember,
shot.
Thane, remember.
So that really probably saved him from feeling a little concerned, as I was about to say, like, that, oh no, I might have been too hasty leaving Thieves Town.
Yeah, that came really close to missing these 3 chests, though.
Yeah. So some hearts and a bomb upgrade. So it doesn't matter, but it would have been another set of chests that you might have to come back and check later, which would feel awful. Thalane must be really feeling pressure to go fast here. Is willing to make a lot of relatively risky gambles. Usually when if you feel like you're ahead, you kind of slow down on those.
So with Quake in hand, if Mclagging does gamble on going into Mire first and the Cane is in there, he'll be able to save himself a trip up to Death Mountain potentially, because we don't need the hook shot for anything prior to Ganon's Tower, unless it's blocking the Kinosamaria.
Yeah, and so Thalane is going to go into Pendant Swamp. Now, so many items here. The item density draw is certainly what's pulling him.
Yeah, that, and having picked up the hook shot, you might think that it's blocking your next progression.
Indeed. We'll see what Mclagging chooses to do after turning in this purple chest. He's going to the mire area.
Going for the gamble.
He's already cleared out desert, so his only the only reason for coming here is to enter Misery Mire. So,
and he's set up for spookiness too. So he's going into mire. If the Keen is in here, then that'll be a big advantage. He'll just be able to pick up his hook shot and probably even gamble on the ice rod being in Turtle Rock at that point.
Yeah, I think if this works out for Mclagging, he's definitely going to go right from here into Turtle Rock, hoping for the best. And the efficiency of that route is going to just be insurmountable for Thalane, I think.
Either way, we're finally seeing some new locations from both our runners at the same time.
And of course, Ice Palace will be where the ice rod is.
Yeah, if Mire doesn't pay off, I would expect Mclagging to head up to Death Mountain next, rather than gambling ice or the first half of Swamp.
Well, 3 bombs is the first item, so he's not going to get both required items out of this dungeon. Only one more potential item here in Misery Mire. Thalane picks up the Riot Shield, gets that full-on mirror protection.
Yeah, what you want in this situation, if you're Mclagging, is you want the big key to be very, very deep into this dungeon, so you're forced to check both items before getting that big key. That'll make this much less of a gamble. I don't think there's really anything that we can find from either runner at this point that would lead them significantly in the wrong direction. Both items, I guess it makes sense to continue to find the big key while you're in here.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to have to reset and go push the button again. You wanna just have the big key for when you come back. It'll just make the routing a little bit smoother.
Yeah, I don't think you're actually any further along now than you would be when your second trip.
Well, there you go. Now you can leave out, because he could go right in and he can get directly to Vitreous now without any other without any checks.
Mire gamble didn't pay off, but does have the key now, so looks like he's heading up to Death Mountain, and
he's
probably
going to Ice Palace.
I was going to the ice. Wow. Lagging the gambler today.
Yeah, now so far Thalane has taken a left side swamp play, has not yet picked up anything that he needs. Oh, you don't have the magic, Thalane. You can't. You can't. Oh. Now he feels behind for sure. And Book of Medora on in the big chest there in Thalane's side of screen puts 2 more locations into the circulation.
That's actually a good place to get the book, because you can check bombos coming out of here immediately. It's not that bad.
Yep.
Ether is a little bit less convenient to get to because there's nothing else for Thalane to do up there at the moment.
Now, this does mean, of course, that both of our last two items, Ice Rod and Hook Shot, well, not Hook Shot, Ice Rod, sorry, can definitely be on the pedestal. So, oh, no,
Well,
it'll be right there instead.
Not the Ice Rod.
So Kane of Samaria, on the other hand, can still be on the pedestal. And that book might give us a little bit more information.
I think that there's still a possibility that the key layout here in Ice Palace could mean that it logically requires the cane in order to complete it.
Yeah, if Cold Stare has a key.
Yeah, so if Cold Stare has a key, then that rules out the cane being on the pedestal.
Well, Kane was right there, so
What is with you, Crozone?
All of the pendant dungeons required to enter. Thieves Town, of course, had something good. I can't remember. I know it had Cane of Burna, but it had something else that was important.
Dude, that's 2 in a row.
Yeah.
So, like, just say Triforce in the next chest so we can be done.
Yeah, I'm having one of those days. So that does mean that we are in full no mode for the game. Thalane, of course, not finding the Cane of Samaria, probably the best thing that could have happened to him. It won't pull him into Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod.
Oh, absolutely. You want to find the Ice Rod first.
Yeah, so Mclagging, on the other hand, kind of got the short end of that stick. The only positive from this is that he won't be pulled to these 2 tablet locations. Unless he doesn't have, as he won't have Hookshot to pick up the book until he heads up Death Mountain. So what this does mean is he is required to make that Death Mountain climb just to get the Ice Rod and then to come back up Death Mountain.
Yeah, this is actually very bad for Mclagging. I mean, Mclagging is going to save catch up a little bit of time here with Thalane making the Mire play and basically wasting the same time that Mclagging did. But Mclagging, he could go into Swamp without the hook shot, and that's not going to get him the Ice Rod. He can go up to Death Mountain and get the hook shot, and then say, I'm going to go into Turtle Rock, which is not going to work out for him. So he needs to go to Death Mountain first, get the hook shot, and then not go into Turtle Rock. That's not a very probable option.
Yeah, that's a really unlikely call.
Yeah, I can't really imagine anybody saying, I'm going to go dip Pendant Swamp before Turtle Rock while I'm right here at the entrance to Turtle Rock where I picked up the hook shot.
So Mclagging does have to make this bomb jump. Gets it on his first try. It took a little while to set up. The little jelly guys were not behaving.
Yeah, we know Mclagging doesn't actually need anything else from this dungeon, but he still needs to full clear it, or at least get the 3 items.
Yeah, he doesn't know that Ice Rod is not here, or Hookshot, so he has to go through all of this. Now, he'll probably, if I were him, I'd want to go and just finish off Misery Mire before heading up Death Mountain, just in case Turtle Rock does let you complete it, and then you don't have to come back down a second time. So don't be surprised if we see him leave this dungeon and go right back into Misery Mire.
That's a really good point. And that makes a lot of sense. That would be a very heads-up play from Mclagging. Unfortunately, the fact that he got the cane before the Ice Rod, I think it's just going to he's going to do a TR double dip. It's really, really going to be hard to avoid that.
Now, depending on how much Thalane loves or hates Ice Palace, he may choose to go into finish up Thieves Town Might look around for a few other locations. I don't know. He's got the other ether medallion.
Well, there's,
Complete.
including the green pendant, there's still 3 items in Thieves Town and 3 in Ice. So if you're going just on items per minute, Thieves Town's a little quicker. Looks like he's going to Thieves Town. More
Right,
good
so
news
this
for
is
Mclagging.
This is a saving grace here situation for Mclagging. It's going to let him pull back a little bit more into an equal footing.
Or a pedestal check.
Well, yeah, you might as well do both, I think, since you're here. And it's always good to get this information before you start going into and clearing the pendant dungeons. So knowing if you need to clear them versus if you don't means that changes your thought process a little bit.
I don't know how much a sword upgrade. Okay. I don't know how much a pedestal check really helps you at this point. You're only looking for 1 item, so you're not going to clear the dungeons once you find that item anyway.
Well, if you don't find the 2 items, you might stick around in that dungeon before going to clear it out beforehand, because you have both pendant dungeons to finish.
You're going to keep clearing until you get all the items, and then once you get your
No,
cane...
I'm saying like let's say you go into Ice Palace, you get your 2 items, or you get all the items out of it. You don't kill, like, knowing that you don't have to kill.
Oh, I know. I follow you now. Yeah, you're right.
So Thalane now going up and making the Ether Medallion check using that book. That book has trolled him. He's going to have gone and used all 3 checks that it could have provided. Mega Fetch Quest. Got super baited.
Yeah, and Mclagging is just investing a lot of time into this full clear of ice. He got the cane immediately, and unfortunately for him, that's all he needed here. We know that we know a sword is on pedestal, so there's still 1 sword outstanding that we don't know the location of. But that said, with silver arrows, it really doesn't matter. They're fine with Master Sword.
Cold Stare goes down. Mclagging did have to use that blue pot that he picked up as the lane enters into Thieves Town, and oof, Mclagging. What has happened? I think we lost some frames there. Okay.
There we go. He's okay.
It looked almost like a hard reset. And I was just
yeah, that was scary.
It's like there's really no. That doesn't time save you.
Yeah, Mclagging needs to do a really unlikely sequence of events right now in order to get ahead.
Yeah, he has to head up Death Mountain, get that hook shot, then go into Swamp, then go back to Misery Mire. Well, I suppose when he goes into Misery Mire isn't really important.
Yeah, you were right predicting this Misery Mire play. It makes a lot of sense here, just in case everything you need is up on Death Mountain. That does mean he's more likely to make the TR dip. Unfortunately, it's not going to pay out. It's not the end of the world because, actually it is pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Like the go moding Turtle Rock, well, it doesn't seem like it's a lot more efficient. It certainly can be, depending on how keys and such are located and where the big key is to be found. But things like not having to do Laser Bridge necessarily, not having to go into Mimic Cave is going to make Thalane's Turtle Rock adventure significantly better.
Yeah, I was trying to find a saving grace there. Go mode Turtle Rock versus regular Turtle Rock isn't that much of a difference, but that's not what we're looking at. We're not looking at go mode versus not go mode. We're looking at not go mode and then doing it again.
Yeah. Because it's a double dip no matter what for Mclagging.
It could be.
If he does.
And there's unfortunately no saving grace there.
Yeah, I can't imagine a scenario where he makes the call, the miracle call, not to do that.
Yeah, the thing that's working in Mclagging's favor right now, at least, is that thalane is doing all of these checks that Mclagging has already done. So if he makes the unlikely play and does, swamp first, that'll be great. We got some spookiness there from him.
That's really nice spooky action. Yeah, and little execution errors like that are just indicative of, feeling behind. Mclagging feels like he's losing, and he's just trying to do everything he can to catch up. So that's also why he'll probably, again, as I say, make that risky play.
Is Arier Mclagging's coach? I didn't know that. That's Crystal 6 for Mclagging. That's actually a Crystal advantage for him. Arier is Thalane's coach. Okay, I thought he was. I don't know. There's no click resume button on in Twitch.
And so thalane now going to go ahead and check this green pendant, which is going to lead him to another fetch quest. Now, fortunately for him, going to the witch's house is probably going to be what he wants to do, just to have that safety and security of some blue potions. So you kind of are getting something for doing so. Mclagging here looking to make.
This is the. Wait a minute. That's
he can 5-6. He's gonna 5-6 Fat Fairy this. He's gonna go and show us what's in the Fat Fairy.
Yeah, he's making the worst case scenario worse than we thought. I mean, as bad as the TR dip would be, doing a swamp first dip would be even worse.
Yeah, and now thalane, of course, naturally progressing into Ice Palace, will pick up that Cane of Samaria and be in go mode.
Yeah, so Thalane's coach is going to have to spend a little bit of time conditioning him to be a little bit less wary of Ice Palace.
And that's how this first seed is likely going to unroll.
I can't even see the crack in the wall.
I know, it's just a brown smudge. So Fat Fairy gives him 5 bomb capacity upgrade, and another full heart container out of that piece of heart. So.
All right, now here's the moment for thalane where we realize the last 10 minutes were wasted. Go mode.
Yeah. So immediately he'll be heading over to Misery Mire now, then up to Turtle Rock.
I'm sorry, coach. I'll go there next time.
Yep, me and my friends, we have this saying, remember Ice Palace? People always want to avoid it, and anytime you feel like you want to get out of Ice Palace too soon, or you want to not go there, that's a strong indicator that you should be doing it.
Yeah, I live and die by let's do ice.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny how so many superstitions develop around a randomizer just because of things like that. Like, we all know logically that there is no reason whatsoever to believe that you have to do a dungeon over another, or the right way or the wrong way to go through the seeds. It's just that experience always seems to get us to have these interesting little beliefs.
And Mclagging also doing a nice burn-a-dash there, and saving himself the route. I don't think he'll have enough magic to do Quake either. Might be a little bit low.
Yeah, he's almost in the exact same situation. He does have a blue potion in his pocket if he wants to make use of it, though.
Well, he knows there's a full magic pot in Super Bunny Cave, so
there is that as well. Yes.
Yeah, I can't see him opening that up. So the only advantage that Mclagging has is not having those extra book spots to check, but like I said, unless he goes directly to Swamp here, it's not going to matter. Hookshot is in Super Bunny Cave, so Mclagging will be picking that up momentarily, provided he somehow doesn't go directly into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, now additionally, let's also keep in mind that he's still missing the Ice Rod, so all of these other checks after he picks up the Ice Rod, Hookshot Cave and whatnot are going to also be draw for him.
Well, I mean, just checking Hookshot Cave isn't like that's only like 10 seconds. It's going into Turtle Rock. I mean, he's going to have to really maybe willing to make that swamp gamble. There it is. There it is, the hook shot. Yeah, this is a massive gamble. There's a big key for Thalane, so he's able to go right down the Vitreous now. I mean, even if Mclagging does make the swamp play, he's still going to be running behind.
He would be running behind, but also, if he doesn't go left side swamp, he could be closer than you think.
Yeah, it'll be behind by, you know, like 2 minutes instead of like 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. But he's going into Turtle Rock. Which, you know, Crozone, you were talking earlier about, you know, good plays, bad plays, right plays, wrong plays. This is a good play. That's the wrong play.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is like there's really no reason not to. There's so many items here in Turtle Rock. Equally as many in Swamp Palace, but oh, Thalane, I don't think you got it.
No, and the Ice Rod loves to be in Turtle Rock.
It does. So Thalane tried to spooky action, but didn't have the setup proper.
So this wasn't that Swamp was a better play than Ice so much as it was that Death Mountain was a better play than going Overworld or Independent Dungeons.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm trying to think of how long had Bunny Cave been open to them. Not until after they picked up the bow and did bow locked side or the bow side of Palace of Darkness. That's when they got the Power Glove or the Titansmiths. So there really hasn't been any opportunity for them to come here that was natural. Right?
Yeah.
That flowed with their routing.
Well, yeah, I mean, without having the hook shot, there would have only ever been those 3 locations, or 4 if you include Spike Cave. And there were better places to go. They were clearing crystal dungeons. They had, you know, they got the bow. They went to Pod. They went to Eastern. It didn't make sense. But an early gamble up here, you know, if you're either of these runners and you're thinking, you know, maybe my opponent did make that early gamble, you're going to feel at a disadvantage. Just a reminder to everyone who's watching, this is game 1 of a 2-game series. So there'll be another race between these 2 players coming up at the conclusion of this one.
Yeah, and they are set to go immediately following. So probably anticipating something like a 5 to 15 minute break between the two, and that will be about all there is. I know that the second crew is already standing by from what I've seen, or has been told that they are to be standing by, so we shouldn't be delayed too much on the handoff.
Well, they're both going to be in Turtle Rock right now, but Thalane is go moding this, and Mclagging is full clearing this and not going to find what he needs.
So Mclagging now gonna head into Mimic Cave more shortly.
Yep, this is another location that you will not check if you're go moding this.
Now the only, there's also the opportunity that Mclagging might find a sword upgrade. Tempered sword could give him a little smaller advantage, a small advantage on Ganon fight in the event that the lane struggles for some reason. It's possible, however unlikely. Silver, Master Sword Silverless, or Silver Ganon. The Master Sword part of it is annoying when you have to do a lot of spins to damage Ganon.
Tempered sword is nice, but we know where one sword is on the pedestal. I think just looking at the numbers here, Thalane will most likely be finishing Ganon before Mclagging even enters the tower. So that's more than a sword difference are going to be. Given the fact that there's another game immediately after this, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a forfeit so we can continue. You don't want to exhaust yourself in a doubleheader. We'll have pretty high collection rates from both of the runners. I mean, we've seen most of the locations, at least across the two of them. I think we've seen, everything? Is there anything we haven't seen?
There's a few that we won't have seen. It could be in the high 60s, depending on where Ganon's Tower, the GT Big Key is, of course. That's 20. That's a swing of potentially 21 item checks there that would affect where their numbers come out as. Mclagging here, going through, getting knocked off, just insult to injury here. Going through Laser Bridge, hoping beyond all hope that this final spot is going to be an ice rod.
That just is trolling them hard.
Yeah, and it is just 50 rupees, so see you later, Turtle Rock. Mclagging is off to Swamp.
Yeah, we pedestal is a sword upgrade. We have seen ped. I mean, seen means knowing what's there. You don't actually have to pick it up. We even saw the shovel that was on the lumberjack ledge. This particular seed.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fetch quests. Thalane got the book and checked all 3 bomb or book locations as well, so the runners have been all over the map with things.
Yeah, I think we have knowledge of every location that is available, across both of the runners, regardless of whether they've actually picked it up or not. We saw left side swamp from Thalane, just all of these. Yep. We saw a full clear of Ice Palace from Mclagging.
Yeah, I'm looking at, depending on Ganon's Tower, somewhere between 120 or 160 and 180.
Yeah, what I like to do is I like to basically subtract the number of GT chests because it can artificially add 21 items to your account essentially. That's a good measure of how 100% the seed was.
Yeah, and a lot of those are when you don't actually pick up, the game doesn't count it, so there is that element as well to factor in.
That's true. I like Thalane using the actual intended strats to get to these locations.
Yep, that mirror shield. gonna go ahead and pick up that last thing. Maybe he's just hoping, you know, you never know. If it's a sword, that would be helpful. He's right there.
Yeah, so it's
Hammer on Trinex is not that much fun.
No, it's definitely not. You know, picking up the fairy there, even if you're very skilled, you know, no half magic, hammer, Trinex, or master sword. I don't know what his potion situation is either.
Yeah, so this could be an area where it could be a point of failure. It is possible to mess this up and have to leave and come back, and that's really, really frustrating if that is. Basically, now it's full-on double dip. But as a 6-1 Swiss runner who 2-0'd his first bracket, I would be very surprised to see that be a problem for Thalane here, but you never know.
Yeah, well, he's on the ice head already. He had no problem with it. He didn't even open the safety door, so but he did.
Well, yeah, there it is. Okay, so he's good.
So the question is Mclagging going to troll himself even harder and do left side first? Hopefully not.
Yeah, it looks like the answer is no, so that's going to be all right for him. And so we're going to see the Mclagging, you know, he's behind, but he's not as far behind as you might have anticipated. The run through Turtle Rock without having to open up anything, well, it certainly isn't short. It's not, you know, it's like 2 or 3 minutes. So he's probably going to be about 5 minutes behind, give or take.
Well, we'll make a note of Thalane's time when he heads into GT.
Yeah, but with that, we all ought to be making our guessing games here on the Big Key Guess. It's a ALTTP Randomizer channel, so we don't have the bot. It's not part of the official game, but by all means, pick a number between 1 and 22 right now to see where you think Thalane is going to find the GT Big Key.
I'm gonna go with the right side 4 chests. How about you?
Okay, I'm going to say it's happening behind Armos now. So I'll go 17 if I want to be specific.
Fair enough.
So Firami asks, how did Thalane find that ice rod? Well, they had to go into all 3 pendant dungeons. It just turned out that Thalane went into Swamp before Mclagging. Mclagging went into Ice Rod. That got Mclagging the Cane of Samaria. And so that's what pulled him into Turtle Rock completely.
Yeah, Thieves Town was the only one that was actually optional. They got the silver arrows and the cane of Burna in there, and the silver's definitely going to help with the Master Sword Ganon fight. But the other ones actually had required items.
I knew there was a second item that was useful in there, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, useful items, but the other ones had required items.
So here we are on the 4 chests on right side, as you predicted.
4, 5. There's 6.
There it is.
Or that's
5.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so number 5.
So congratulations if you chose number 5. Let's see. Oh, Angel Root. Second guess of the game, Angel Root. Congratulations picking number 5. You were absolutely correct today. And as a prize, I'm going to go ahead and give out the same prize we gave out last night. You are eligible to receive free, unlimited ALTTP Randomizer seeds for an entire year. Of course, so is everyone else.
Yeah, you and Jex really got into that.
It was funny.
Alright, so Thalane, he started opening the tower at 141.25. So we're coming up on 3 minutes difference already. So I'm gonna guess probably like 8 minutes or so.
Yeah, that seems more reasonable than my optimal guess of 5 minutes. But of course, with the key being found so early on as well on Thalane's side of things, like that's just the last thing that Mclagging wanted, or would have been his last kind of hope would have been something like 22 tile room, and he just made the call for it.
Well,
Which is never the right call to make. It's always a bad play.
yeah, that's. I mean, even if you're gambling, it's just that's not the gamble you want to make that late in the game. Thalane did spend a lot of time doing many overworld checks and Thieves Town clears and stuff. All these things that Mclagging had already done. So if Mclagging had done that extremely unlikely play of Swamp first, this might have been very close. But like I said, that was just so unlikely. So doing a very nice job on the Hammer Trinex as well. I think it can definitely make sense if you're new to this fight to do the Ice Head first. People do the Fire Head first because that's the one that comes out first, and that's the first one that will take damage. But the Ice Head will put the ice on the floor. So if you're not quite as good as these runners are, take your time and just knock out the ice one first, and play it safe.
So no matter what, Mclagging did keep it interesting for the whole seed. We're still just 2/3 of the way through Gannis Tower difference between the runners. Of course, if Mclagging chooses to go full left side, that would be not the right call for him to make as far as maintaining this smaller difference between the two players. But Thalane is in position to win this seed. It is his race to lose at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that other sword is probably left side GT because I can't think of any other place it could be.
Yeah, unless it's in like the final chest. Thalane dropping down to Trolldorm 2 now.
Thalane is still opening chests in an attempt to find that one more sword.
Yeah, I like, if the chests are on the way, it's definitely the thing to do, I think. The difference between Master Sword and Tempered Sword is really large, simply because you have to wait on all the timings for the spin to charge up. Tempered Sword to Buttered Sword is not nearly as big a time save gap.
So 5.5 minute difference between them entering GT.
It was closer than I thought.
That's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, see, my predictions paying off. And with that, Thalane is now on to Agate 2. This is a true Agate 2 fight. And what we have here is outside of the fact that no one actually did it, we saw a full 100% on this. All dungeons were taken care of. Argus was killed on Thalane's side. Cold Stare was killed on Mclagging's side. Both of them had to go through Castle Tower, and we even were up at the pedestal to check it. So between the two runners, this is about as 100% as a seed could be. That was a great clear, by the way, on Agate 2.
That was a very nice Agate 2. Just those left side chests in Gannis Tower, basically only the locations that we don't know about. Presumably our last sword is over there. Bombos and the net are over there. Yeah, we saw Thalane check the 4 upstairs chests, and I completely agree. If you have Master Sword, definitely check every chest that's easy, that's in your way.
So you'll now see that Thalane has to work all of these spins in. He's got a pretty good position here for phase 1.
I think he missed the double off the trident. And Gannon, here's a nice position against the wall. 12 spins for each of the first 2 phases.
But he had to dodge the trident there. This will be another potential for 2 doubles.
That would have been a good phase 2 spot.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he did not get hit there, but he didn't. And phase 2 begins.
That's not a great spot. You can get a couple in. Top right is your ideal.
So one thing to note here, Mclagging is picking up the pace on this gauntlet. He's been flying through a lot of these rooms, so he's having a really, really quick time through this. Now, Thalane low on health, takes a death. Uh-oh.
Yeah, Chat says he has 2 fairies.
Yeah, but that's, you know.
You're right. This is a
5 or 6
nice
seconds.
gauntlet. Very nice gauntlet, Master Sword.
Good double hits here on these spins on Thalane's side. Oh, down to 1 heart again.
Ooh.
The second fairy gonna have to get used here. Just flagging his land multi. We may potentially have a run on this if Thalane doesn't stay safe for the rest of this fight.
Well, phase 2 is where you take most of your damage, so he should be okay from here on out. He can still take 1 more hug.
Yeah, and there's also the potential for a bounce would be just devastating to him right now.
He just needs 4 silver arrows. So we're done the difficult part. He's going for the safety torch glitch just in case.
Torch glitch is going to let him get 2 hits right now per cycle.
He's doing silverless?
Yeah. I'm not
He
sure if he's
doesn't
forgotten.
realize. Oh my god!
He's forgotten you have silver arrows in the lane.
He's doing 24 silverless spins.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
Oh my goodness, what's gonna happen? You know, like this actually.
Well, he still got it, I think.
Yeah, I think, but it's way closer than it has need to be. Oh no!
What a race!
What is this, swag strats that he's trying to throw out here? Is this is he sending a message?
Gannon even asked, like, did you get the arrows? And Blaine is
Oh my
answering
goodness!
with
It's
a,
like, yeah, I
with a
did, but I don't
maybe.
need them.
I think this is a maybe.
What is this?
Yeah, Mclagging is on his way to Moldorm too. A death here for Blaine would be enough for Mclagging to catch up now at this point.
Well, absolutely, especially if Thalane doesn't remember that he has the second time.
Ooh, Mclagging taking a Moldorm fall though.
Oh, that changes the calculus just a little bit. I thought I was wondering if when he switched to the fire rod there, if he would notice, oh yeah, arrows. Wait a minute, but apparently not.
Well, yeah, you can see these silvers on the top of the screen. And
I know, but the bow.
Didn't he do silver victorious?
Yeah, he did. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please remind the commentators in the second matchup that if there is a question that must be talked about, it is
there we
Thalane's
go.
silverless silver arrow matchup against Gannon. Now, normally I make a joke about this treacherous 3-tile wide bridge, but unfortunately yesterday we did have a slip and fall, so I will not make the comment today. But Thalane is about to claim victory as long as he can cross that bridge and finishes with an official Speed Racing TV time of 1 hour, 53 minutes, 22 seconds. Congratulations. Let's throw some GGs up in the chat there.
Yeah, GG's to Thalane. It's a double header, so we're gonna have to wait until the second round to get any interview questions. And the question I can ask at the moment, Arier, what are you doing? You're not selling your coaching services very well. but yeah, beyond that, an hour 53 minutes in, A serverless Ganon, like that's the type of thing you might see if you've seen a dot done and you're just doing swag, or you're really, really confident about your lead. Yeah, I'll watch the second race, and if the commentators don't ask the question, Thalane, you can expect to find me in your own chat channel shortly thereafter.
Absolutely. So, Mclagging now going into the Ganon fight. Let's see if he remembers that he has these arrows that do a lot of damage to Ganon. I hear that that's a good thing to use if you've got them.
Yeah, Ganon, makes a note to ask you about them too, so it's a nice little reminder.
Yeah, don't forget, it's not necessarily an MG. So the silver arrows were the first item they pulled out of Thieves' Town, and both runners went in there and full cleared Thieves' Town, so they have it.
Nice phase 2. Wow. I mean, he got most of that done in that one spot.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure Mclagging's going to have eaten into that 5 minutes and 50-second time difference between the two of them. He's in phase 3. It wasn't quite a bouncy phase 3. Ganon flying all over the room, if I recall correctly. Yeah, clearly, Mclagging knows he's got those silver arrows, so we were probably a Ganon fall away from what could have been a tie or a victory for Mclagging. Just based on the fact that Thalane didn't use those silver arrows. And so as long as Mclagging can cross this dangerous bridge, so treacherous, he'll finish up as well.
GG's Mclagging, giving him an official time of 1 hour, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds. Slightly more than 3-minute difference between them, which is just amazing given the double dips.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd like to remind everybody in chat that, of course, we've said it a few times, but these two runners are going to be going right away. So I anticipate less than 15 minutes now. They'll be starting up. That's in the interest of their convenience. These guys have to organize a time and place that they can meet up to play each other, or well, rather a time at least, that they can make these plays in the top 64. So if it's most convenient for them to go one right after another, then that is what we will do to accommodate them. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. The race will be happening on stream, I believe. Yes, absolutely, on this channel. So there is no need to do anything. It'll be happening very quick. Thanks to them for putting on such a great show for us as well. A good idea for you guys to take this little break time. Go ahead and throw them a follow on their respective channels. They deserve it after having provided us with such great entertainment today.
Absolutely. For my wrap up, guys, take a 10-minute break, but definitely stick here for the second match. I'll say GG's to the runners and congratulations to Thalane for racking up 1 win. Hopefully Mclagging will be able to pull out a win in game 2, and we'll get to see a game 3 because more rando is always better than less rando. And thank you to Iceman for doing the restream. He will be continuing restreaming for the race 2 as well. You will get 2 brand new fresh commentators, Swerve and Trojan Dude. They'll be joining you shortly after we sign off, but we'll also get a new tracker. So let me wrap up by saying thank you to our current tracker, Oddwalls, for keeping us honest and keeping everything up to date, and Crowzone80 for joining me on CodeComms. It's been a pleasure yet again, sir.
Absolutely true. It's always fun to work with you. Thanks for making this as great a race as it was. Thanks to all of you viewers for watching. And I know that I'm going to be staying tuned. And I did also see both Trojan Dude and Swerve in the chat, so I know that they will ask that pertinent question when the race is over here. So we'll all find out what happened with Thalane in a couple of hours. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next race, and stay tuned.
Stay tuned.